The champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes. Welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
Yeah, mate.
Yes, he's a DB of the show, even though we have some over-the-top help for him today. We are Blackinsports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. We're here interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, covering it all, laughing at it all, while providing a platform to be heard. So you know what we do about this time. We want to welcome our guests, okay? So he is born and raised here in Las Vegas, Cimarron High School standout, all right, man of great faith, NFL vet, current motivator of life. We have Vernon Fox in the house, the third. That boy good. Clap it up.
What's going on, fellas?
Oh, you got it. Thank you, man. We're happy to have you in here today. We got a lot of stuff to cover, so we're going to jump right in it. So how we start is we always ask our guests to give us a shoot your shot moment. All right. So this is a time where you went for it all, where you bet on yourself. And we need a moment, because a lot of people, they shoot their shot every day. But just give us a story when you went for it all, win or lose.
Well, I remember when I went undrafted, and, obviously we'll get into that a little bit. But, I sat home for 2 days in front of the TV,
okay,
by the cell phone waiting for a call. Didn't get that. And I remember when I got a call from, general manager at the time was John Butler of the San Diego Chargers. He called me himself. I remember having the conversation. He said, how would you feel about being a San Diego Charger? And, I got kind of quiet, and he was like, you there? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm here. And I said, frankly, no disrespect intended. I'm like, but, I expected a lot more than this, so opportunity, I'll take it. I'll be a San Diego Zebra if it means I can play ball. But, at the end of the day, I didn't get a signing bonus, nothing. I got a handshake opportunity. I was one of the last cats signed to the roster.
Wow.
And, for me, I was like, I'm going to go out there and just control what I can control. I was a 6-string cat, shortest dude in my position. Everything that could have been against me was against me. But, I told myself, man, I'm going to prove that I belong here. And, that was my shot, man. I gave everything I had, and it worked out.
I love it.
It did. Big time. So, background. We'll start from the beginning, man. Just kind of where your love for sports start and the foundation of it.
I was the only child growing up, and, I wasn't really into, like, video games and, stuff like other cats were, So, for me, it was just sports. I'd be outside dribbling the ball all night, driving my folks crazy, running around the house pretending like I was running through cats, with the football. So, it was really just about sports for me. It was just my passion at an early age. I remember being about 7 years old, when I really had a dream of playing professional sports. Didn't know how that was going to be possible, but, it was that early that I really started developing that passion.
Oh, wow. So at 7, did you know what sport or just professional? Because you're a multi-sport athlete, right?
Yeah.
In high school. So was it just professional?
I think I wanted to be a basketball player, to be honest.
There you go.
I knew, though, real early, probably about like 9th grade, I'm like, I ain't gonna be much taller, so I need to stick with this football
so that's
thing.
Out. Well, hey, J. Cole's going at it at 35, so
Don't stop that.
No, I had to give him a rip on that. It's got to chase your dreams, man.
Yeah, you got to do something. So, 2-parent household. Did mom and pops play sports at all in their background?
You know what? Not really.
Okay.
My mom's played softball growing up. My pops wrestled for a slight second, but no, they were super supportive though. And, whatever I wanted to do, they were kind of supportive of that, took me wherever I needed to go, did whatever we needed to do. But no, they didn't participate highly in sports, oddly enough.
That is, right?
That is really
because usually it's the family business we always talk about, especially when you get to a level that you've reached.
Yeah,
for sure.
So, and I know about that wrestling, boy. You get put on your head or your back once or twice. You're like, man, this is not for me.
just the attire was enough for me to stay away from that.
The outfit was a deterrent, right?
It's
Right.
basketball season.
100%.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you played running. Did you do both? Did you play both ways, offense and defense in football, or was it just running back?
Only for a short time. So I started playing in 7th grade.
Okay.
And I started out at corner, and then I started playing a little running back. When I got to high school, they had me at fullback when I was a freshman.
Interesting.
And I think I played a little bit of defense, but by the time I got to varsity, it was just all offense. Like I returned some punts here and there, but that was an interesting thing too, that I got to play at the next level, playing a different position than what I played primarily.
That's crazy.
So the Cimarron days. So one of our guests on the show, AP, also went to so he shot you out several times on the show from Cimarron. So we got the Cimarron days from his perspective, but from your perspective, how was Cimarron?
Real similar to the way he described it. Yeah, Coach Greg Spencer was the real deal. He was real blue collar, just rough around the edges, but he got the most out of you. He knew how to inspire you. I tell people all the time, like when I got to college, I didn't understand like not practicing, like sitting out for anything, because that just wasn't a part of what we did.
Right.
And so, he really was someone that kind of trained me to push myself to the limits and challenge me in a lot of ways. And it probably wasn't the most popular way, that he did it, but it was inspiring all the same.
And got results, right?
Yeah. and out of all the coaches I had to this day, he probably was one of the most impactful.
Wow.
Still.
Wow. Okay. So so you were a 3-sport athlete. Did you play all 3 years or 4 years through high school, all 3 sports, or did you start tapering down once you saw like, okay, this is where my shots really going to come from? How did that progression go?
I played basketball, ran track, and played football for my first 3 years of high school.
Okay.
And then my last year, I gave up basketball. So, I kind of had already started making my decisions on college.
I already found enough people.
Yeah, right. And by that time, all they was letting me do was play defense anyway. So I'm like,
I got mine in, right?
I'm done. I'm gonna just run track and get myself ready for for the next level.
What was the events in track?
Just 1, 2, 4x1, 4x2. Yeah, I wasn't running nothing longer than the 2. Wasn't happening.
Good stuff.
So go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
The moving into college, the recruiting process. I know you chose Fresno State, but what was that process like, and was there any other school that could have been?
So my junior year is kind of when I started getting attention, and the way that all came about was, really unexpected. Anybody that knows Cimarron knows it's been like a running back factory. And, even going into my junior year, I wasn't expected to play. There was someone in front of me, oddly enough, like week before the first game, he gets into it with the coach, and Spencer didn't play. So he wasn't around, much longer. And, it was my turn. And I don't know that I was ready. And so, first game I did not play well. He challenged me the way that he did, and things started coming on. I ended up leading the city in rushing that year, about 1,600 yards or something, and started getting attention. So, I was getting letters and things like that.
Right.
So I was excited about going into my senior year, thought that I would, get a great opportunity. Grades were on point. Didn't have any issues there. And my senior year, things kind of went silent for a minute. So it kind of scared me. I didn't really know what to expect. I was learning the hard way what recruiting was like. UNLV, some of those schools were recruiting me, but I hadn't, no offers. So probably midway through my senior season, I go to the coach. I'm like, hey, I need to start putting something together so that I can, get some exposure.
Absolutely.
And, back then we didn't have Huddle and all that cool stuff. So it was like, get your VHS tape, let's cut it up and put it on there.
Right.
And so I worked on it myself. I got the tape together. And he's like, we maybe need to shoot for, some of these smaller schools. I don't know that you D1 material. And I was tiny. I'm like probably at that time, I'm probably like 5'8", 165, 160. And so I kind of understood where he was coming from, but it was discouraging. And, I went to my high school counselor. I still shout him out to this day, Curtis Hall.
Okay.
I went to him. I said, listen, I need your help. And I said, can you help me put my tape together? What do I need to do? He said, you do this. He said, you put the tape together. He said, you give it to me and tell me where you want to send it. I'm like, okay. So, I started looking through my stack of letters, and, and I'm looking at who's been the most active during this time.
Right.
So I send my tape, to about 6, 7 schools. Every single one offers me. Crazy. Wow. Right. So, and the thing about it is I really didn't shoot high because I was he was in my head.
Yeah.
You need to kind of stay on this level.
Lower levels, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I schedule 4 trips, and University of Utah, Northern Arizona, Weber State, one other Colorado school, I believe. So I take all these trips. Ron McBride is the coach at Utah. I go there. I fall in love. It's a couple of Vegas cats there that host me. I believe Clarence Lawson, Phil Glover, some Clark dudes. They host me, and I fall in love. I'm like, they got Steve Smith there, Dyson, all these guys, and I see what they're building, and so I commit. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
And I come home. I'm excited. This is in December, so our season's over, and Fresno hit me up. They offered me a trip late in the game, and I'm like, it's free. I'm gonna just take it. Honestly, that was my thought process.
Absolutely.
I'm like, it's free. So I go take the trip, and I get there, and it's a lot like Vegas. Everywhere else I went, it's snowing, just culture shock to me. And it's a lot like Vegas. Brand new coach, Pat Hill's his first year. He cleaning up, the program, establishing something. And it was attractive. I was like, man, I really kind of want to change my mind. So I get home, I call University of Utah, the coach that was recruiting me. I'm like, hey, I think I'm kind of changing my mind. This was before, they had all that
stuff.
Yeah, decommit. Yeah, I knew nothing about that.
You could even tell him you was in an entanglement at that time, right?
Right. None of that. I'm just trying to do what's best for me.
Absolutely.
At that moment. He asked me, he says, well, I want to come and visit you.
Before?
Yeah. So he comes to Vegas. He brings the head coach. They come sit down in my living room. I still have it to this day. He gave me a packet. It was like the top 10 reasons why you should come to Utah instead of Fresno State.
Oh.
Right. So I'm feeling all kind of pressure. And then they're like, hey, we waited on you all this time. Like, we kept the spot for you. They're telling me this stuff. You can play running back. You can play. So I'm like, all right. And whatever.
As a kid, man, as
that's a lot.
18, that's a lot, man.
A whole lot.
From an adult putting that kind of pressure on you like that.
But I mean, that's their job, at the end of the day. And it was true. They really did. They offered me early. They waited, and So anyway, I made the decision. I went to Fresno, man.
Let's talk about it. That's dope. So you talked about it, and Pat. So I spent some time in Fresno, and Pat Hill is still loved in Fresno because he did really turn that program around and wanted to bring the dog back into Fresno State. So how was it playing with him, and because he had that slogan, anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, it was real. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, as a coach, I had all these cool slogans like work, willingness to overcome resistance, keeping the faith. Man, our slogan my senior year was shut up and hit somebody. That was it. Like, seriously, and that's what we did. We went out, we hit cats, and it was cool, man. We really had a lot of talent. It was a football city.
Talent too.
Oh yeah. Like, my senior year,
they played some real dogs.
We played anybody. My senior year, we were ranked 8th at one time. We went into Wisconsin, beat them. We went to Colorado, beat them. Oregon State came in, we beat them. I mean, pretty much anybody you put in front of us, we was hitting and beating people. So it was real.
That was definitely a mentality back then.
What's the V on the back of the helmet stand for?
The valley.
So that's paint the valley red. So it's a green V because it's an agricultural valley, and then there's a red stripe through it. And Pat Hill came up with that. To this day, they still don it.
So you went to Fresno State as a running back.
Well,
they
actually told me that I would be a DB.
Oh, they
told you. Okay,
they did. Now,
okay.
Here's let me tell you the truth.
Okay,
is I thought I would get there and change their mind. So I'm
Let
like,
me return this play.
I'm like, I get my hand on a couple balls, but I mean, when I got there and I saw Michael Pittman, I'm like, that's a D1 running back. Never mind. I didn't want none of that. So. But it was rough, man, because, I legitimately played one game of DB in my last 2 years of varsity football.
Wow.
And I believe the game that I played DB was the game that probably changed the game for me, because that film was the film that I shared.
It was on the cut up.
Yeah, it was on the cut up. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just running around hitting people. And, it opened some doors, but I couldn't backpedal. I couldn't do anything. So red shirt was mandatory for me. Nothing.
So finally getting on the field, and I love the art of playing DB. I always talk about it. So just talk about the process of finally having that whole transformation, getting on the field, and then you even played as a redshirt freshman. So,
yeah.
How did that whole happen?
So, you know, like I say, I remember first day we get there, we're doing, you know, drills. They got us in little stations. I'm backpedaling. I fall backwards. Like all the cats are, you know, like laughing or whatever. And I'm just like, this is foul. You know, I really want to go home, to be honest, because I'm thinking of all the other schools that I'm like, I could have played running back. Right. And so our DB coach at the time, and he's still in Fresno now. He's back there. But J.D. Williams.
Oh, J.D.'s okay.
Yeah. So he was our DB coach at the time. J.D. had been a former first-round pick, was also a former, you know, Fresno State Bulldog. So he comes to me, he's just like, listen, every day you're going to stay after. You know, we're going to work on your fundamentals. He's like, we're not worried about nothing else, your fundamentals. So every day he makes me come early, stay late. I spend the whole, you know, first year just developing. And, I mean, he got me right. And so that next year, you know, I guess maybe 2-3 games into the season, the senior safety at the time, he goes down with an injury. I go in the game, University of Utah, make a few plays, block a punt, you know, make some tackles. And we end up splitting time when he comes back.
Okay.
So, you know, every other series kind of thing. And, man, I had some time to shine. And, you know, from that point on, I started the next 3 years.
You played with a #1 draft pick out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
How was that? And he's a brother of a local quarterback here as well. So how was David Carr in college?
Man, he was the truth. And you know, it was a good leader. It was cool because we all came in together. So that class was super talented.
Yeah.
I mean, we had, I think that my senior year, there may have been like 6 to 8 guys that ended up going to the league, you know, and maybe like 4 or 5. Pretty much at every position, we had at least one person go to the league that year. You know, he obviously at quarterback, we had an offensive lineman, D lineman went 4th round, you know, wide receiver went like 6th round, you know, a couple DBs. It was real, linebacker. So it was a talented team, and Dave, you know, led the show, and really he gave all of us exposure. You know, because everybody was coming around for him.
No,
it opened up the door for all of us.
That's a good point.
Well, you really didn't face adversity, and you shared that in your shoot your shot moment because, like you said, you know, it was slow, but you still got a lot of offers going into school and, you know, just kind of going through your high school career and going into college, not getting injuries. So you had to be on draft day sitting there.
Yeah.
Then a Fresno State guy goes #1 overall. You just kind of had like, that's that momentum going, right?
Yeah.
Right.
When did you kind of overcome, just like I've seen you in one of your posts talk about fear.
Yeah.
Did you have that fear moment and just said, you know what, I'm not going to sweat that, I'm going to change that? Or where did that attack of fear or how you give that baseline of fear?
You know, that was one of the more challenging moments for me.
Yeah.
Just because up until that point, you know, I had experienced nothing but success athletically. You know what I mean? So every team I was on, I was the MVP. You know, high school, Pop Warner, you know, at some point at Fresno State. And so I didn't understand not succeeding on the football field and not being good enough, because that's what it felt like to me, not getting drafted. And, you know, that was challenging to, you know, your pride, your ego, all of that, which was great, though, because that's what needed to happen for me. You know, it really was the next level of development of who I would be as a person and reshaping my character.
That's awesome.
And, you know, so I got there, man, and I'm just, you know, bottom level, humble. Like, I'm just working now. It's not easy anymore, and I'm trying to prove myself every single day. And, you know, many doubts with fear. You know, just doubting myself, not really knowing if I had what it took. And just having to overcome that and go and work every day, you know. And when you're a 6th-string cat, like, there's many days you're not even getting reps.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? So you like, I didn't even do enough today to prove myself. Like, I had one play, so I had to make sure that those one plays were perfect. Like, I cannot make mistakes. And so it just drove me to the next level of commitment and making sure that I was right and giving everything I had and controlling what I could control.
Commitment is a word that you touched on that I want to hit back, even in college. So you were a semifinalist or a finalist for the Dratty Award?
I was one of the semifinalists. So it's 16 semifinalists, and then they award it to one.
And the Dratty Award covers, it's not Division I, Division II. It's like everybody, right? It's all mixed in.
It is. So it's all collegiate football. Yeah.
So for those that's listening, the Dratty Award is the academic Heisman. So you got to be committed on the field, obviously, to make plays, but more importantly off the field in your grades. Reed Dowdy was a former teammate of mine and a teammate of yours, but he was a Dratty Award finalist as well. So there's not too many of those in the world that would just walk around as a Dratty Award finalist. So talk about that honor that you got there.
You know what? Honestly, of everything that I've accomplished, that probably was the one that stood out the most to me. Like that was the most meaningful, because for the first time, like what I was doing off the field was recognized, and it came totally unexpected. I knew nothing about a Dratty Award.
Okay.
So my senior year, I had been Dean's List and all that stuff every year, and my senior year, I make academic All-American, and then all of a sudden, I'm one of the first at Fresno State to be honored in this way. They flew us out to New York. It's just like the Heisman.
Oh, wow.
So my family is with me. I get to meet everybody. All these Hall of Famers, coaches, and players. And go to the banquet, nice tuxedo. It was cool. It was a really cool moment, and it meant a lot to me just to be recognized for that, because I really did give everything I could off the field. I always believed that the same effort, intensity, commitment that it took to be the best football player, it took to be a good student as well. And so that's why as a coach, I didn't allow players to make that excuse, like I can't get it done, it's too hard, I can't, it's too much going on. Nah, you can do it.
So you spoke about just the talent of people that you played with, and you played for several teams. So you started with the Chargers, but they're not in any order, but the Broncos, Lions, and now
Washington
football team. And so on the Washington football team, man, you had a chance to spend some time with an amazing person that we lost too soon, man. Tell me about his energy, and for those that don't understand, I'm talking about Sean Taylor. Probably would have been one of the most amazing in the game. Former Miami guy. Yes, definitely go Jacket, man. How was it? And I've even seen you had some pictures with him. So what was that relationship with him? And then just tell me a little bit about him, man, being in his grace, man, in his presence.
No, easily, and I share this all the time, easily the best football player I've ever been around.
Wow.
And I don't say it, and I've been around some good ones.
Yes, GLT, Gates.
Absolutely. I mean, I played when I was in Denver. I played with 3 Hall of Fame DBs: Ty Law, Brian Dawkins,
that's right,
Champ Bailey, and I'm telling you, he was just. It's like he was created to play football. I just never seen anything like it. He would, I tell a lot of people that don't know, he would take every rep in practice. So I'm talking like every rep with the ones, he wouldn't come off the field. So like you have to fight for your rep as a 2, and then he stay in on scout team. Like he was just a machine.
Wow.
He got there early. I mean, he would run home, run to work. Like he was a machine, but just a good dude, man. Like I would sit down with him. He was humble, and I remember having a conversation with him because I was blessed in my first year there, and I think 2006, I got to start and play the last 6 games. He and I were the safeties out there, and so we would sit down and try to build some camaraderie, and I remember sitting with him at lunch, and I was asking him questions. I'm like, yo, how do you never miss tackles? Like how is every tackle like the hardest tackle? Yeah, like the hardest tackle ever. And he was just like, I just don't stop. He's like, I don't think about it. I just keep running.
Damn.
And I mean, it was little stuff like that. And I'll never forget, I was just like, man, you legit. And he was like, no, man, I think you're a good player. And I remember when he said that, I was like, whoa. Right. I mean, and I had been around all kind of players, but, I had a ton of respect for him, man.
That's awesome, man.
So we always hear about the grind to get to the league.
Yeah.
We don't hear a lot about the grind to stay in the league. And you played for 4 different teams, 8 years. I mean, that's rare. So talk about the grind to stay in the league.
Yeah, it is the toughest thing you can imagine. The life of a free agent was just brutal, because I never, one time in my 8-year career, I had more than a 1-year contract. Every other time, and it was that year coming out of that 2006 season. I ended up starting the last 6 games, played way more than they expected. At the time, we had the highest paid safety in the league on our team. He was making $40 million or something, and I ended up
Archuleta?
I ended up playing. I ain't saying no name.
I was thinking off the top of my head.
I ended up playing, and I wasn't making $1 million. And so, coming out of that year, they gave me a little extended contract or whatever, and And then lo and behold, they draft LaRon Landry. So that was short lived. Like it was over. So that was my life constantly. Wow. Every year was like I had to fight to reprove myself and find a way to make a team every year. So for everybody, you know, that's watching, it's like it's entertainment for them. It's like fighting for livelihood for us. Yeah. So it definitely was tough to stick.
Dang, that's the truth right there. So out of all the teams, which one do you, I don't want to say claim, because I mean you but some like have a better alumni reach out, and so which team do you spend like the most time or still connected with the most?
You know what, for a long time that was the former Redskins. And part of that was just because of the connection of all of the players. The
players, gotcha. Okay.
Like that locker room was a healthy, just cool locker room, you know. So,
and y'all went through adversity together.
Absolutely.
That usually bonds people when you go through something like that, you know, so the loss of a teammate tragically.
True. And it was just a strong, you know, for myself being a man of faith, like it was a strong foundational group of you know, faith-filled men. You know, Randall L., James Thrash, you know, Ronaldo Wynn. It was just a strong group. So I stayed connected with that group, but I still have ties to the Chargers.
To all of them, yeah. Okay.
I don't really root for anybody. Nobody paying me. So
right. So all right. So we want to jump in kind of the transition point. So I think you made a great point, and I'd like to transition talking about you are a man of faith. When did, you know, your faith? You know, we all go through kind of where our spirituality it may start, and where did your faith like hit hard?
You know, I in college, there was a point when I kind of, I'll say, recommitted myself and really started living more of a disciplined life. And when I went to the league, honestly, the moment for me was the moment of what was perceived failure. You know what I mean? Not getting drafted.
Yes,
because again, there was a stripping away of all of the pride. Because for so long, man, I was just walking around thinking like I'm that dude, you know. So
up there, right?
Yeah. And for the first time, I'm like, man, this ain't gonna happen unless God make this happen. Like this is an impossible situation.
And
like,
that's where He reaches you. He wants you to be down there, so you're listening to everything, right?
That's it, man. So yeah, man, that moment drew me into a point of intimacy like never before. And you know, I kind of just started maturing in my faith, and God put some people in my life to encourage me, you know, Terrell Fletcher, Miles McPherson, you know, there was a bunch of people around me. Even Rodney Harrison, man, was a great influence to me.
Nice.
And just kind of, you know, taking me under his wing. And, man, I just saw miraculous things happen in front of my eyes, and it increased my faith. You know, you go from 6th string to 5th, 4th, 3rd.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm backing up Rodney Harrison. He goes down in the first game, and I'm starting the next 4 or 5 games. You go from undrafted, last cat on the roster almost to, you know, you starting by your second NFL game. It was unbelievable.
That's amazing. So with that, from Faith to now you're the head coach of Faith Lutheran, right? So how did that come about? Because, you know, I've heard you say that you didn't even want to be a coach.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Most people, well, I won't say most, but a lot of cats, when they're done playing,
that's a path, right?
They either go into the booth or they coach. And I didn't want to do either. Honestly, I needed like a debrief from football.
Right.
Because honestly, like my career just didn't end on the terms I wanted it to. You know, I didn't get re-signed. I didn't even get a workout, you know, and I was healthy. I could still play.
Really?
You know,
okay.
I probably, you know, my acumen and my ability to, you know, play the game was probably at the highest level that it had been.
Right.
And I just didn't get a chance to play. So I really just needed to get away from it for a minute. I trained for about a year.
Okay.
And, you know, nothing happened. I wouldn't even play fantasy football. So I didn't want to coach, definitely. And
I don't even want to hear you say foot around me.
Yeah, man. I was bitter. And so I get a phone call in 2013, and you know, they had a vacancy. They told me that I guess for about 3 months they had been looking for a coach.
Okay.
In about 13 different states. It had been like 60 different applicants. I had spoken somewhere about a year before that, and so they had a chance to kind of interact with me. But I didn't go. I wasn't looking to coach, so I didn't put an application in, nothing. And they called me. I said, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you passed on it.
Yeah. They called me back.
Okay.
And said, would you just be willing to sit down and have a conversation?
Let's just talk.
Yeah. So
we just gonna talk.
Yeah. So I told my wife, I said, all right, let's go see what they're talking about.
Right.
We sat down, the CEO, the athletic administrator, the high school principal, we sit down. They offer me the job. And
wow.
I'm like, I really need to think about this. Like, first thing I told him was like, I've never coached a day in my life. First off, I played football for 18 years, never coached. Like, never coached Pop Warner, nothing. You want me to be the head coach.
The head coach.
And, they said something to me, man, that I'll never forget. They said, well, we know that you've never coached before, but we know that you're a leader. And we believe in, your leadership ability. And, man, that, spoke to me. Because they saw something in me that I really didn't even see in myself. But, I spent a couple of weeks thinking about it, praying about it. And, we made the decision to move forward. And, that was it. I did it for 7 years. I actually just resigned in February of this year. But, man, it was a tremendous run,
Yeah,
a lot of success.
And I know you probably have, but since you did mention that, the article is something just said that, there was really nothing behind it. You just was like, that's the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, same way I came in. Yeah. It's like it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't on my terms. Yeah. I felt like it was something that God led me into, and it was just as clear that it was time to move on. And I did the same thing. I asked for a little time. They gave me the month of January. I spent that time praying, considering, thinking about it, and it was clear. I was like, man, it's time. It's time to ride.
So playing the game and coaching the game are two completely different things.
Yes, sir.
So, being as you as a head coach,
no not even prior position coach,
yeah, like no coaching experience. No. Just I'm sure there was nerves. So how was that?
Yeah, it was process? Rough. I mean, I didn't know the beginning of building a practice plan. I had to hire and fire coaches. I ended up having to be, now this was totally not in the plans. I ended up having to be the defensive coordinator as well. And that wasn't in the plans because I was just trying to figure out everything else.
Right.
And so now I got to, build a defense, and you don't know how much you don't know about football until you coach.
I'm telling you.
Like, I was like, man, I don't know what the D lineman's, but I don't know
what's shade. This 3-tech?
Yeah, I didn't know what a 3-tech was. Like, I had to figure it
inside
all out.
Shade. What are you talking about? Like,
yes, man. So it was a lot to learn. It was quick, man. It was like drinking through a fire hose.
Oh, man.
And so I'm trying to process all of that at the same time. And I remember the first game, man, my head was all over the place. So I'm trying to manage the game, the clock, timeouts.
Yes.
I'm trying to call the defense and communicate and talk to the coaches on the heads. Like, I was
And you're dealing with youth, not professionals.
And we got smoked. So I'm like, this was a mistake, bro.
Oh,
so I remember just feeling like this is not gonna be good. Yeah. But it changed.
It did change. I won a state championship.
Man, so this was my motto. First year, brother.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying too.
And
that's what I'm telling you, it's God.
Look at God.
Yeah, that's all God. Because
won't he do it?
Brother like me didn't know what I was doing out there. And I had a group that believed. I casted a vision. They believed in it. They ran with it. The coaches were, supportive.
Which is great.
Yeah, perpetuated. I had good men around me, good support within the administration. The school got behind it.
That's good.
Parents. It was amazing, man. We went 12-2. So we lost those first two and never lost again.
That's just crazy.
Is unbelievable.
That's just hey, when you come up with your Autobot pick, that's just gonna be one of those parts in the story. They're just gonna be like, really, like really?
No, I felt like it was a Lifetime movie. Like, I'm like, every week we was like beating teams we had no business beating. I mean, way more talented. Like, just everything you can imagine. It was just like it was scripted.
Now, how was it the local talent? And I mean, I'm gonna ask two parts. Just one, the local talent here, because people haven't before looked at Las Vegas as a talent pool for kids, but how was it the level of talent for you? And then you had some names, because I saw Dana White's son. What position did he play?
He started out as a quarterback as a freshman.
Okay.
And he got injured, and when he came back, he was an aggressive kid, and so we put him at DB.
There you go.
And I mean, his thing was just, you know, he was physical. He wanted to just come down and hit, and so he got a chance to play at the next level. He's at, you know, University of San Diego.
Oh, really?
But yeah, no, we had some kids over the years, man. You know, the talent pool started increasing. You know, the exposure and all of that helped, and you know, we were put in a good position to succeed.
Love it.
So, creating an identity for your team. You mentioned that, and then I guess it's kind of tough for kids nowadays to kind of find their own identity, because much different from how we grew up, where it was just we was trying to be the best in the neighborhood, maybe the city, and maybe we think about the state, and we didn't really know about what was going on in Georgia. Like, at least I didn't know about what's going on there. But now so much of their lives are on social, so you can really know who your opponent is, and 10 states over,
and you're competing against them.
And you're competing against for, recruiting and all those type of things. So I guess it could be hard for a kid to, find their identity. So working with kids now versus, when you played, how was that difference? What was the challenge in kind of, hey, this is our team identity within trying to combat all those type of things?
Right. It makes it difficult. It really kind of infiltrates the culture because you have a lot of, selfish kind of mentality that you got to rid. And so it's a constant fight, to try to, because I'm a big culture guy. Like, I was big on the health of the locker room, the camaraderie. We talked about being team firsters, which is something I, stole from Fresno State, but keeping the team first and not, thinking about, and that's hard when you constantly, you got cats walking around bitter that they didn't get an offer. This guy got an offer. And so it was difficult to override that. Early on, it wasn't as hard because when I walked in, like, football honestly didn't seem like it was as important. And we had a lot of kids that seemed like, it was just a hobby.
It was just there.
Right. So yeah, we had to kind of, show them the level of commitment and what it took to succeed at another level. And then once we got that, and then the exposure changed, it was like getting better players and getting, higher caliber players kind of changed the culture a little bit too, because now you had to compete with all of that at the same time. So yeah, it's difficult. So you have to definitely be intentional about fighting against that and making sure you try to keep a team mentality in the locker room and keep the players' heads in the right place.
Another thing that happened at Faith Lutheran, and this is interesting because my nephew played for this team. So the coach at Mountain Point, this whole, time thing where he's trying to give opponents, I guess.
The little scandal?
Yeah, competitive advantage. And football is all about sometimes competitive advantage in a lot of different ways.
Ask Belichick.
Yeah. Ask a lot of people. Yeah. So just how was that? How did, obviously you uncovered the whole scandal by just being a man of integrity. So like, how was that whole process?
That was a weird situation, man.
Had to be weird.
I think we were probably a month out from the game, and I got one or two emails. They come back to back.
Okay.
And I kind of open it up and I see it's like, hey, you're playing against such and such a team. Here's some information about them. And in the beginning, it seems innocent. It's just like, hey, their quarterback is this, and that they got a young guy here. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then I get more, and then it's like attachments in there, and it's like, and this is not like, how you can look at something and just say, okay, somebody's kind of fabricating this, or this looked like a little catfish situation. Like, I could tell it was legit because I could see even the things that they had concerning us, and their scouting of us, and it was specific to what we did. And so at that point, man, I'm like, I just stopped even looking at it, and I replied back. I copied our administration because I wanted them to know, like, hey, this is my response, so you can see what took place. So if anything ever comes up later, you know exactly how the situation went down. And it was a simple reply. I was just like, hey, thank you, but, I'm not interested in cheating. We'll prepare the best we can, go out and compete. We don't believe in cheating here. That's it. And I deleted them. And that was the end of it in my mind.
Right.
Until, it's game day. Just like every other game, pre-game, I'm out talking to the other head coach, just, hey, whatever. We had been speaking for months, texting or whatever. It's the first time we meet face-to-face. They travel down to play us. And I walked away from the conversation and I thought about it. And I said, man, I probably need to say something to him for two reasons. For one, if the shoe were on the other foot, I would want somebody to tell me that this is going on. Secondly, I don't ever want this to come up again. Like, let's just say we come out and, you know, play well, and it looks like I took advantage of the situation. And so I kind of told him, I'm like, hey, you know, I don't know who you made angry, but like, man, somebody is like, you know, got it out.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I kind of heard this before. He was just like, but, you know, thank you for telling me or whatever. Right. That's it. That was the end of the conversation. Again, we got smashed, so it didn't matter. And I didn't think about it again. I never said anything to my staff. I never said anything to the kids. And about a month later, that coach called me and he said, hey, I'm just warning you. You know, we figured this whole thing out. You know, I found out what's going on. It was a mole in our camp. He's like, this thing is about to go national. He's like, so I'm just letting you know because, you know, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And so I told the players the next day because I knew it was about to, you know, hit. And I said, hey, guys, like, I'm letting you know this happened. I never did this to get attention. I never did this to get pats on the back. This was the right thing to do. You know, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's even looking. And, you know, this is a teachable moment for you all so that you understand, like, these are the type of decisions that you need to make, you know, because ultimately, you know, it led to, you know, I don't know if it was positive, but, you know what I'm saying, I try to use that as a moment to teach them that, hey, we're not just preaching these things to you every day. We're living them as well.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Got them quick hits?
I do, man. So these are kind of just random questions over your career, real quick ones. So first time you were starstruck, if you were ever starstruck. Some people think that's a disrespectful question.
Nah, man. It took me half a year to not be Junior Seau.
Oh.
So when I actually finally got to start, I remember just being uptight because that was his defense. And I was afraid in the meetings. Like, I wanted to do the right thing. And I remember he called me Foxy, and I hated it. But I wasn't saying nothing. Like, he was like, Foxy. And, man, I just remember, like, man, I'm playing with Junior Seau. Like, I'm on his defense. And, you know, so that was a moment, man.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's big.
Shout out to somebody that you played against that you know, when you lined up, you was like, okay, that's a dog there. Yeah, that's a dude.
I'm gonna say someone on my own team.
Okay.
So in practice, I didn't want to check Santana Moss.
Ooh.
Like okay. Santana was like uncoverable, especially if he was in the slot. I'm like, no. So man, mad love to Tanner, man. He was the truth.
If you had to build your perfect for all the teams that you play with, you have to build a secondary. 2 corners, 2 safeties. You can throw a nickel in there. Who would those be?
Jeez. All right. So I say at corner, I'm gonna take Champ for sure. And man, I might take Champ and Dre Bly.
Okay. Bly, I like Dre Bly.
And then at safety, I'm gonna go with B-Doc and Taylor, Sean Taylor.
Got you. Is there anybody in the nickel? You gonna throw yourself in the slot?
That's what I'm saying.
No, I ain't gonna be in the No.
Throw yourself in the slot there.
Man, ooh, boy, quite a few talented dudes, man. You know what? I'm gonna go on a limb. This is probably somebody that y'all wouldn't even guess, but Carlos Rogers.
Auburn.
I'm putting him in the slot.
Ooh,
like just quick twitch. Yeah, he was the truth. But yeah, Jam was the man too, man. But it was that many. That's what I'm saying. Like I was on a crazy squad. I mean, man, I was on $100 million defensive backfield. Sean Taylor, Fred Smoot, Carlos Rogers, Sean Springs. Like it was crazy. It was crazy.
Is Ty Law? I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, but is he a legit Hall of Famer?
I think so. I mean, I played with Ty. I played with Ty on the. I played with Ty on the back end.
Okay.
Yeah, he was what, 35, 36 at that time.
He wasn't contributing a whole lot at that point. I mean, I had mad respect for Ty. His days in KC. I mean, in New England. You know, I was a fan. All
right, so coaching wise, are you a cleat guy to practice or non-cleat guy?
Cleat, man. I had to be a hard worker, man. I couldn't be that chill dude. Like I was not like the vets that you know, during camp, like they never was practicing 2 times in one day. It was like, well, I'm gonna practice this. No, so I was out there suffering most of the time.
Okay. All right. As a coach, I think everybody has a discipline type of drill, right? What was your like, okay, this is the discipline drill. What was that drill?
For me, I stole one from one of my coaches in Washington. So he had this deep ball drill that was suffrage. Like
He said suffrage.
because first off, here was the main problem. The problem was that we were separated corners and safeties, which was not the norm.
Okay.
You know, oftentimes that group was together. But with this group, we were separated, so it was not many of us. You know, it's just about 4 or 5 safeties, and it was rapid fire. I mean, he run you as far as you can go and throw it as far as he can go.
High pointed.
Yes, you get that thing,
Go get it.
sprint it back, and by the time you got back, it was time to go again. And so, you know, yeah, I did some stuff like that. Non-stop pursuit drill.
I got it. Go ahead, DJ.
So, we're going to jump into the winner's circle
Okay.
because I think there's going to be a lot that really ties with relationships because there's some other questions we want to get into about the different relationships you have and the things you're doing. So here in the winner's circle, you know, we just talk about a platform or what you're working in right now. And you want to just talk about just the speaking, the consulting, and the life coach.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, either give light to each one of those or, you know, talk to them collectively. But how did you get into that? Talk about those.
You know, my goal has always been to just influence and impact people. And you can do that in a lot of ways. I mentioned that, you know, I've been operating in ministry for over a decade now. You know, I was actually licensed and ordained in 2014, you know, already operating in a call prior to that. And so that was just a part of kind of what I did. And I'm a firm believer in giving back. You know, a portion of what I've been first blessed with, I can always help somebody else, inspire someone. And so naturally, you know, that's kind of the lane I went into. I started doing a lot of motivational stuff, which later turned into specific leadership training and coaching, team building, again, leadership development, and later was certified as a life coach.
Nice.
Got blessed to speak internationally. And so, you know, that's my thing now is just speaking, you know, consulting. And also, you know, with the life coaching, and I'm writing my first book. So, you know, all of that, man, I'm all about trying to just impact and change people's lives for the better.
How's the process of writing a book? I have some other questions, but how's that going?
One of the most difficult things I've ever done.
Sure.
Which is crazy because, you know, most stuff I just attack. I just jump on and just, you know, do it until I'm done. This book I've been writing for about 3.5 years.
Really?
And it's not.
Is it like just about your life?
Well, you know what? I started on a book like that, and then later, like, my message got more refined because I started understanding like what people, you know, what hill I was standing on and dying on, and what had the most impact when I was going out speaking. So my book is titled "The 3 P's to Success," and these are success principles that I've applied, you know, to when I was a player, as a coach, and you know, in my mind, they're foolproof. I mean, it's 3 entities, and I could tell you what they are because, you know, whatever, it won't stop you from reading the book because you won't get the full thing.
Exclusive.
But it's success is intentional. Yeah. Success is intentional, struggle is inevitable, and faith is essential. And I just break each of those pieces down and give you, you know, true life lessons and actionable plans, you know, that you can, you know, apply to really achieving your own success.
Man.
It's been difficult though, brother.
Yeah.
I'm almost done though. Like,
okay.
That book will be done by the end of 2020. I am determined.
Exclusive, man.
Exclusive.
No, that's amazing. And definitely the book thing is that's a good move, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I have to do it.
So now I'm gonna be on you. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna definitely just
do it.
I
need the accountability.
Absolutely make sure you push through because you know it's taking those things. One, it shows because I want to talk to you about the transition too.
Yeah.
That's a tough one for athletes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No matter what level, right? Because me and Miles talk about it, you know, like, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially, you know, you just see it or you're around it, you know. So for you to make that transition, 1, to start your company, but 2, to write this book, it's definitely a narrative that I push to a couple of people. And so I definitely salute you and want to push you on that, man.
No, I appreciate it.
So how did you make the transition to say, like, because you've been speaking, like, a long time, you know, while you were coaching and things like that.
Right.
How did you make that transition to say, this is it, what I want to do? I mean, I know I'm doing these other things, but this is going to be a core.
You know, it was something that just kind of came natural.
Okay.
When I was done playing, ironic enough, I went to an event. Ronaldo Wynn was a former teammate of mine with the Redskins who lived in Vegas as well. So we would hang out periodically, and he and I went to an event. There was a former player there. He was an older guy. His name was Brian Holloway.
Okay.
He's a motivational speaker. He was there speaking, and I watched him speak for an hour. And, you know, afterwards, he took us back in the room, and he was just like, hey, man, you know, this is, you know, and I'm just like, man, I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. And I'm like, the whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, I can do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that just comes out. If you give me the mic, I can do that right now. And so I asked him to mentor me. I'm just like, show me what to do. How do I develop this and turn this into an actual, you know, career or business? And so I started doing that. And, you know, man, I fell in love with it. Like I didn't even always have to get paid in the beginning. You know, I was just like, I just want to do this and impact people. And so
that's what it is, right? When
when
you find that passion, then it's not, you know, work anymore.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, that's why I'm posting videos almost every day
on
social media. It's like I go running and I'm like, man, something come to me. I'm like, man, I gotta get it out. Gotta get it out.
So give it to us. I wanted to stay on topic of what you had, right? So you do these Monday one-on-ones.
Yeah.
But you have a series of them. Like you go from, you know, taking former players or former relationships that the people that you've had in the game. You and your wife has recently done one. Yeah. That's dope. So what is it about the one-on-ones that is it kind of like is it a tactic, or is it just you have so much passion that you want to share it?
You know what, man? Like I got mad respect for this. Like you know, for a long time, people was like, you should do a podcast, or you should. And so that was the easiest way for me to just like start pushing it and doing it. And again, like I don't do that for anything. Like nobody's paying me. I don't whatever. But my goal is to inspire, motivate, and you know, to educate people through that. And so, you know, I'm like you say, I'm doing all types of things. Like I got one coming up on mental health. Oh, dope. You know, but you know, I'm excited because I just secured Brian Dawkins. So in a couple of weeks, me and B-Dawk going on.
B-Dawk.
You know what I mean? So that's I love doing it, man.
Like his Hall of Fame speech, he spoke on that, and I still haven't posted, but I have that quote, and that's real.
Yeah, one of the most passionate dudes I ever been around. So yeah, man, I just enjoy doing it. You know, it's an hour that I can just, you know, dig in somebody's life and, you know, just help them, you know, inspire people as well.
And share their story. I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is we all have a story.
100%.
And we need to share that, you know, no matter what it is, everybody's story relates to everybody. Like there's some overlap and everything. 100%. So let's talk. So we're talking about, this is what you do. What is the actual company name? Is there a company that you have or how's it formulated?
Yeah. So it's Team VF3. So, you know, the story behind that is I'm Vernon Fox III.
Absolutely. The third.
Yeah, man. I was able to.
Junior.
Right. So I was able to, you know, kind of just build it on that platform. I wanted it to be, you know, self-brand. And, you know, I wanted a stable company foundation that I could do a whole lot of things, you know, so more than just the speaking, man. It's a lot of stuff that, you know, we plan on doing, you know, some apparel and building a foundation where we can go out and have even a greater impact on, you know, youth and, you know, a lot of things that we want to do with it.
Kind of question with that, man. You know, my dad is a pastor, so
Pops.
I always kind of asked him about that, and he never really gave me a direct answer, but you know, when you're dealing with life, life is a 4-letter word, but it's a big word for a lot of different people. I mean, life is tough, right? And I think sometimes when you're a life coach or you're a pastor or a leader, sometimes people put you on an earthly kind of pedestal, right? And you almost have to kind of live up to something that's not, you know, real, right? You're not God. So like, how is that a challenge, or, you know, how is that for you on that end of the spectrum?
It can be. You know, a couple things that I really believe in. One is I believe leaders have to be led. You know what I mean? So I'm never trying to be, you know, the top of the totem pole. There are people that I serve. There are people that, you know, mentor me and pour into me, because if I'm pouring out, I gotta have somebody pour back into me.
Oh my gosh.
And then beyond that, like, I just believe in being transparent. You know what I mean? So I'm never going to be that guy that just, you know, paints this picture that my life is so perfect and I wear this mask that, you know, it looks like I got it all together. Like I'm going to share my struggles with you, because I believe that really is, you know, the catalyst to helping people. You know, if you're on a level where, you know, you never come low enough, there's some people that you're going to miss because you're going to feel untouchable. So I don't believe in that. I believe in being transparent and open.
That's big time, man.
So as a speaker, who are the people, and as a coach, right? Like just that whole genre, you know, are there people that you look up to or that you copy from, right? You know, there's a couple that we know and maybe some that we don't know, right? Like there's was it the ET, right?
ET.
The hip hop preacher or whatever. Are there some people that influence you?
Yeah, most definitely. Probably most of them are preachers.
Okay.
But you know, in the industry, so my pastor is someone that, you know, I highly respect. You know, who, you know, since I was 16 years old. There are a couple other pastors along the way in the cities that, you know, I had a chance to play in that I still maintain relationships with, people that mentor me. And then there's some people in the industry, you know, I'm thinking about Anthony Trucks is a guy I played with, but, you know, he's killing it in this same industry. You know, you got, I don't know why I can't think of his last name right now. Tony
Robinson?
No.
Oh, because I'm about to say, like, but you said
that's a shame because I've been following him forever, and he and I connected.
Okay.
And he's been a major help to me, and I'm trying to find his name. That's a shame. I can't even think of his name right now. But yeah, my man Tony is another guy that's been a blessing, man. Just kind of took me under his wing and showed me the ropes.
That's awesome, man. So, relationships, right? Once a dog, always a bulldog, right?
What kind of dog you talking about?
I'm talking Fresno State, man. Fresno State, man.
You're another dog though, too, though, right? You a Q?
No, I'm not.
Oh,
that would have been something that was unleashed.
I thought that was another gold boot.
So you had a bulldog that you played with Dante Marsh on the 101. So it's funny. I had a chance to hang around with a lot of your guys you probably played with. So I'm just gonna drop some names and tell me if you got any stories that I can take back.
Yeah.
Kevin Jordan.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah." Spock.
Oh yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah."
Man, you've been around a lot, huh?
Yeah, man. Cam Worrell.
Yeah.
Did you play with him or was
I
he?
did.
Yeah, in the backfield.
Yeah, Cam was specialized in knocking people out and himself. That was his thing.
But with keeping those relationships, man, how do you keep those bonds with some of those guys? Because I saw you went back to Fresno State a while and also letting them share their stories. Because, like, I've known Dante, and I'm a big fan of him for what he's went through, definitely pushing him to finish his master's degree. Like, he came back and finished. Yeah. Then the boy went and got his master's, man. I was on him about it. So
absolutely.
How do you kind of stay up with those guys and with that bond, and how does that help you become or keep being a better life coach and leader and speaker?
You know, I think you kind of figure it out along the way which relationships are going to be lasting. But for whatever reason, man, that group is just a close-knit group. Like, that Fresno State team, like, I mean, we have a text blast that just today we're texting, and it's probably about 13 of us in there.
That's dope.
But we stayed close, and Dante in particular, man, he's just he been like my brother. I mean, we've been connected for a minute, man. They influenced me so major in a bad way, probably, because they was all from Oakland. And,
yes.
You know, man, they had me where I had a grill, and they had me turned out for a minute. But yeah, me and Dante, man, have always been close, man. So we've been able to, you know, one of the things that we do to one another is we were very honest with each other. So, you know, we'll reach out and be like, yo, man, you know, you need to fix this, or hey, you know, angle this up another way or whatnot. But, you know, those relationships have been great.
That's awesome. Another question for you. So I've known of the FCA.
Yeah.
Except it really wasn't around, like, when I was playing ball in the cities and places that I was at. I first ran into it actually being active in Fresno with Lauren Bell.
Okay.
He was the one that was kind of running that, and I know Carr was in it, and Isaiah Green. Is there a local facet of that here? And is it prevalent? You know what I mean?
It is, man, and it's grown tremendously.
Has it? Okay.
Yeah, there was no FCA presence, you know, when I grew up here.
Gotcha.
And so when I came back, I'm actually really close with the director. His name is Rick Strasser. He's also the chaplain for UNLV sports, as well as the Aces. So he and I are really good friends, and I've actually lended a lot of time to FCA over the years. I sat on the board early on, and then, you know, I've just been available, and really we're talking about, you know, increasing my involvement with the organization, because it's been a major part of my life and development.
That's beautiful. All right, man. Well, like I said, man, time flies when you're having fun. You've been doing it all show, but we have this last part where we call the assist, right? This is where you get to drop a jewel, a mantra, you know, word to live by. or you can do your faith nuggets like he do on social media. But just give us a quick something for the people.
You know, one of the things that, you know, is a staple for me is maintaining hope, especially in a time like now. You know what I mean? With everything going on, the difficulty is that, you know, there's a lot of hopeless people, and it's a hopeless situation if you look at it from, you know, a natural perspective. But I believe that through the eyes of faith, you know, as the Bible says, faith is something that you can't see, you know. And so, you know, for me, just maintaining expectation and hope, man, is the thing that can keep you, you know, prevalent and just keep you stable during this time. And so, you know, I'm just encouraging anybody, man, that's out there struggling, is that, you know, understand it's not something that you have to see, but faith is being certain of what you hope for and certain of what you do not see. And so, you know, through that, man, I'm just encouraging anybody, just hold on to your expectation, your hope. You know, don't give up, don't throw in the towel, and things will get better.
Woohoo. That is beautiful. Time. Big time. Hope, baby.
Amen.
Hope.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, hey, we want to thank you, man, so much for blessing us with your time and sharing the story, man. There's so much that we could go into, but, you know, we only have a short amount of time to do that, you know. We want to make sure we'll put everything in the notes, in the show notes, and, you know, people that are watching here on YouTube, they see your IG, so make sure you reach out and tap into some of the content that he's pushing, because it's some amazing content. And I want to thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show, and please give us feedback. We are Black in Sports on all of your social media platforms. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and don't forget, we do drop episodes of The Locker Room. We're going to have to get you on The Locker Room. That's our short version, man. We drop those episodes every Tuesday on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, just wherever you listen to podcasts. So listen, stay safe, have hope, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got in sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.